Last week at a Riverstone rally, a few owners came up and asked me what they should expect their tire pressure and tire temperatures to increase to while they're towing. So what I did is a 200-mile tow, and I tracked my usage. And what I'm going to show you is why you should get familiar with what your numbers are rather than trying to follow what somebody else's are. And then stick around to the end because I've got another topic I want to get your feedback on. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Scott, and my wife Ellen and I travel full-time in our 2022 Riverstone fifth wheel. On this channel, we share RV tech tips, campground and resort reviews, and general RV lifestyle experiences. If those are the kinds of things that interest you, please consider subscribing. All right, let's get started. All right, before we get started, I wanted to show you the TPMS system that we're using. Ours is by TS Truck, which is the original brand that came with our fifth wheel. I did swap out to this bigger screen. The original one's right here, and as you can see, it's a little wonky to see on video, the display, and where I do videos, that was important to me. It is not touchscreen where the newer one is, and it also uses a micro USB connector for charging, which is inconvenient because I have USB-C devices all over the place, so I'm always hunting for its cable. And the other disadvantage of this one in my situation is that it requires a proprietary mount to mount it up on your dash with a suction cup or whatever. And as you see, I've got a lot of stuff on my dash, so I didn't want to add anything else. I use these bullet point mounting solutions, and it has a magnetic option, which is right here, and this newer display mounts with magnets. It also has a USB-C charging port, so I'm never really hunting for a cable because I've got USB-C cables all over the place. And then it is touchscreen, so I can go right to the tire that I want right away very easily, and then use the touchscreen to configure it as well. All right, so if you're interested in these things, I'll put links down below. Bullet point mounting solutions and TS Truck. We're not sponsored by them, I'm just putting them down there for your convenience. All right, let's get into the video. All right, so here we go. This is what we're starting at. Let's see, it is almost noon time. The outside temperature is reported as 64 degrees, which it might be right. Let's see, so tires are starting out here. We got the rear at 77 degrees and about 103 to 104 PSI. The fronts are 77, 103 there, and then 104 and 77. All right, so there we go. And we are 0 miles. We've got today, let's see what we've got. We've got, how many miles to go here? Let's see what RV Life says. We've got 203 miles, about 3 hours. All right, so I'll drive for a while and then we'll come back and see what the tires are doing. All right, so we're just a few minutes underway, about 5 minutes underway, and finally the temperature on my iPhone and the outside temperature from the truck finally got up to what it actually is, which is 77 degrees out. So turns out that the ambient temperature and the temperature on the tires is about the same, within a few degrees now that we've driven for about 1.5 miles. So they're starting to warm up. All right, we are about 30 minutes into the drive, 30 miles. So let's see what the tires are doing. We got about 122, 119, 120, somewhere between 90 and 93 degrees. So there you go. They're all within the range. The ambient temperature being reported outside now is 73 degrees. So it looks like tires have warmed up, you know, roughly 20 degrees over ambient. And the PSI, I think we saw the PSI was starting out in that 100 to 105 range, so we picked up, let's call it like 15 PSI. All right, so we're about 1 hour and 10 minutes in, about 69 miles, MPG is 8.1. Let's see what the tires are doing here. Let's see, so the outside temperature has dropped to 64. Obviously there's no sun, it's raining, so things have cooled off a bit. Tires around 72 to 73 degrees. Let's see that that front one is 70, and then that front one was running a little warm a minute ago. But there it is, all 70. And let's see, about 117 PSI to 119. All right, we're about 2 hours into this trip. We've gone 113 miles. All right, so let's see what the tires are doing. So all the pressures and all the temperatures are pretty consistent among all 4 tires, and their behavior has been pretty steady for the first 2 hours and 115 miles of this trip. All right, we're about 3 hours into this drive, 180 miles. Ambient temperature is now 80 degrees. It's not raining, the sun's out a little bit, overcast. Let's see what the tires are doing now. All right, so looking like we got one that was at like 100 degrees. Now we got 95, 100. We got 125 psi, 122 psi, 97 degrees, 102 and at 123. Not bad. So they're all within the same range. We've got temperature deltas a little higher on one side by about 5 degrees or so. Not a big deal, not concerned about it. All right, we're at the end of the trip. 3 hours, 30 minutes, 203 miles, and the tires are, looks like they're all gonna be around 120 to 123 psi, and between 91 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Not sure why that side's running so much hotter, but I have this, so I'm gonna go check the hubs real quick, just to get an idea of what temperatures are looking like there, make sure I don't got anything going on. I don't suspect I do, but always good to be sure. Okay, so I collected all that data along that 200-mile tow, and then I came back to my desk, scrubbed through the video, and I took all the readings and put them into a spreadsheet. Then what I did is I took that spreadsheet and I put it up into LLMs, ChatGPT and Claude, and I just had them take a look at the data and create graphs. They didn't do any analysis necessarily, they just graphed and plotted the data so that it was easy to see. Now I want to emphasize that you're not trying to aim for my numbers. I think most of you know that. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that I've been towing with this setup for quite some time now, and I know the behavior of my setup. I know what the PSI generally goes to, I know what the temperature usually goes to, how that relates to the outside temperature in the rain events and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show you and illustrate that what you want to do is you want to get familiar with your configuration, keep track of what's going on so that you can do a quick glance and you know that everything's okay, and you can quickly see if something looks abnormal. So let me show you the data I got here. Here it is in the spreadsheet. You can see I put reading 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the end. And then here are the graphs. Let's see which one they give me first. All right, so the tire pressure comparison, all 4 tires. As you can see, here are all the readings go across. Each tire has a different color, and you can see that the range is pretty tight, right? Everything stayed within. The first set here was 103 to 104. That's when we were just starting. Went to 106 to 107. 106 was low to 122, and then 116 to 119. That seems like a little outlier there at that 106. I'm not quite sure what might have happened there. Then we got 117 to 119, 122 to 125, and 122 to 126. So those are all within, you know, a really tight range, except for, like I said, that little cruise in the first 30 miles. You can see also that the rain event here brought the tire pressure down just a little bit because they cooled off a little bit. Let's see what the next slide is. This one is tire temperature comparison, all 4 tires again. This shows the temperature, and you can see again, all within the same kind of range, and in that rain event, everything cooled down. Then let's see what we got for left to right. This is the left to right tire pressure compared to the ambient temperature. You can see the ambient temperature is in green. You can see how that fluctuated. And then you can see how the left and right sides pretty much stayed the same. The difference between them is pretty steady all the way, and that's an average of all 4 tires. Then we have left side to right side tire temp. Again, ambient temperature in the green, and then the average of the left and right tires. And again, a tight little pattern. Let's see what the next one is. This tire pressure followed the weather. Yep, there you go. Again, ambient temperature in green, and you can see once we got up to driving for a while and the tires warmed up, they went up to their 120, which is typical as we can tell, and then you saw it drop a little bit during that rain event, and then it went back up and kind of stabilized until we were at the end there. You can see the last 2 30 minutes was pretty consistent. And then finally, we have tire temp followed the weather. Yep, the temperature of the tires. Oh, that other one was the pressure. So now we're on to the temperature, and you can see that that's the average of all four kind of followed. And you can see the gap between the ambient temperature and the average is pretty much consistent. All right, so that is an analysis of the data for my particular configuration. I don't expect anybody to have the same exact numbers. You'd have to have the same exact tires, the same exact wheels, you have to have the same driving style, all that kind of stuff, same weight, same distribution, all of that kind of stuff. So again, the key point is learn your system, learn what is normal for your situation, and then pay attention. It's simple as that. All right, I think that's all I got. Let's go wrap it up. Thanks for watching. All right, here I am under my slide and near my wheels. And the question I had for you guys and wanted to get your feedback on is, how do you measure your hub temperatures? And do you measure your hub temperatures to keep track to see if you might have a problem developing? The way that I do it is I use my infrared thermometer, and anytime I stop for a break or to get fuel, I'll quickly run around the RV with this, and I'll point it at my wheel in between the lugs here, and I'll do that on each one and get a kind of idea of where the temperatures are. In my case, for the past 2 years, they run about 125 to 130 degrees, and that's consistent among all the wheels. My thinking is that if any of the wheels were much higher than that, then I might have a problem with a dragging brake or something on the hub assembly, spindle bearings or something like that. That's the way that I do it. I establish that baseline, and I look for any significant deltas between that. I've never had that so far, knock on wood. Just leave in the comments below how you do it, what your thoughts and ideas are around that topic. Thanks a lot. All right, well, hopefully you found that video helpful and informative. What did you think about it, Ellen?
I probably won't sleep tonight.
It was that good?
It was that good.
All
so
right.
Interesting. I'm probably going to watch it over and over again.
Excellent. I hope everybody does. Well, if you found that video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And if you think anybody else will get value from this content, please share it out to them. Thank you for watching. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.
All right.